Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So today we are going to be talking about goals and goal setting because, new year, new money, new us, right? And so we have a lot on the docket. But to get started, first though, want to briefly remind you who we are at Fair Credit. We're a nonprofit organization that, specializes in helping individuals and families accomplish what we're setting out to do today, accomplish financial goals. And so we do that through various of our programs, which are listed here, some of our programs and services. Those include our one-on-one financial counseling services, which at the moment are over the phone or video conferences that we do, where we can work with you or those that you know to develop budgets, to work on paying down debts, just coming up with a plan together and help coach you along the way. Our next service listed here is our debt management program, where we can work with you and your creditors for your unsecured debts to try to negotiate lower monthly payments and lower interest rates to pay off the full balance of those different unsecured debts. And so, if you're looking to get ahead on your debts, give us a call and see how this program can't help you out. We have our IDA, or our individual development account, which is our match savings program, where you put in some money, we'll match that money. And that can go towards a couple different things, namely buying a home for the first time or getting an education, right? Going to school. And the last thing it can go towards is starting a small business, right? So as we talk today about goals, or you've had different goals on your mind and any of those might fit in, see if that match savings program can't help you along the way. After that, we have our financial education, where we have ongoing classes and workshops, which you're a part of today. And so thank you again for your attendance and making this possible. And the last thing that's listed here is our Credit Gazelle, or our payday loan refinance program, where we can work with those that are needing some help with payday loans to see if we can't bring down that interest rate and help it make it more affordable for you to pay off. And so I love that people are already using the chat feature, and absolutely, we're grateful to have these programs. It wouldn't be possible without some of our funders, which help us to help you essentially. So give a shout out to them. All righty. So today, again, just some housekeeping items for you. Please keep your mic mute. Yes, mic mute. While our presenters are speaking, they have taken time out of their busy schedules to join us today, and we are very grateful, and we'll introduce them here in just a little bit. Feel free to use the chat box along the way today. We'd love to hear your comments, your questions, your concerns, and there's going to be a lot of discussion today, so please use that chat feature. But at the end, we'll have a live Q&A session where we can ask those questions, and we'd love to hear your wonderful voices. And the last thing, again, our contact information will be listed at the end. So feel free to give us a call, email us, reach out to us through social media in regards to questions or comments that you may have. All right. So first up today, we have Karen Clough, who is with First Step, and she will be addressing us first. After that, we will be pleased to hear from Tammy Duggar, and I'll be introducing her in just a little bit as well. After that, we'll turn some time over to one of our financial counselors, Itzel, who will address us. And then lastly, again, we'll have that Q&A. And so to get started, let me introduce our first speaker. So Karen has been serving on the front lines of as a social worker in Salt Lake County for the past 13 years, advocating for and working with homeless at high-risk populations. She has a social service worker license and and graduated from the University of Utah with a bachelor's in psychology, a bachelor's in sociology, and a certificate in criminal justice. She is currently the case management supervisor at First Step House, a facility that serves low or no income adult males with substance use disorders and other co-occurring issues. Karen manages a team of 12 at First Step and assists in implementing a multitude of community grants and programs. Prior to First Step House, she worked at the Road Home, pioneering the rapid rehousing program in 2010, and then as a long-term housing case manager, working with individuals and families in long-term supportive housing. Again, want to give a warm welcome to Karen and thank her for her time here. And Karen, the floor is yours.
Thanks. I'm privileged to be able to talk to you guys a little bit about First Step House today. You can go ahead and go to that next slide. So First Step House, our mission is that is to help people build lives of meaning, purpose, and recovery. So we do that through patient-centered care, taking each person's treatment on an individual basis. We work really hard to create a therapeutic alliance. We do that through different alliance techniques with the counselor and the client. We focus on chronic disease management. So we treat substance use disorder and other co-occurring health disorders through a continuum of care. Much as you would if someone had cancer, you would seek treatment for that. You have incidences of reduction in that occurrence, and then sometimes there are additional occurrences that happen throughout that time, and that we treat each incidence on its own and really provide this ongoing continuum of care for people in recovery. All of the work that we do is evidence-based and data-driven, and we use the modalities we use for treatment are evidence-based practices. We work really hard to create recovery capital for people, meaning that the longer time they have in recovery, the more successful they can be in other steps, and providing ongoing and kind of wraparound services for people in recovery. And then we also support multiple pathways to recovery. So that includes medically assisted therapy and different types of recovery groups and different one-on-one approaches with the clients that we work with. So at the next slide goes over the vision and values that we have at First Step House. So we have this kind of big, audacious goal to serve 5,000 people by the year 2028, using the highest quality, evidence-based, recovery-oriented services possible. I think the last data we have is from 2019, and we did serve over 1,000 people that year. We have, in the last year, brought on a couple pretty big projects that really will increase the number of people that we're serving. And we want to continue to see what needs there are in the community and continue to fill those needs and provide high quality services in the community. So, and we do that through integrity, transparency and accountability, positive proactivity, humility, altruism, and compassion, which I think is really the key and cornerstone to providing treatment to people that are in recovery and suffering with other co-occurring mental health issues. On the next slide, it goes over the programs that we have at First Step House. So we have residential and outpatient treatment services. There are currently 2 residential facilities, one in Rose Park and then another in Salt Lake City. It's now our recovery campus, located about 440 South and 500 East. We also provide housing case management. So with case management at First Step House, half of our team is divided into housing case managers. A lot of the grants that we get are to work with people that are homeless and at risk to help them find housing and while they're in treatment so that they're not released to homelessness. And then we also have some subcontracts through the City Housing Authority or the County Housing Authority, Housing Connect, to provide ongoing case management for people that are on long-term vouchers in the community as well. So that's a big piece. We have a supportive employment program through the evidence-based model, which is individual placement and support. It's called IPS. And that helps to connect people with substance use disorder or other mental health issues with employment, and connect them with employers and help them to sustain that employment and find good paying jobs. We also have our long-term recovery management program. This is our aftercare program. So anyone who's been through any type of treatment services at First Step House are eligible to participate in our long-term recovery management. It's run by a certified peer support specialist, and they, have ongoing groups, connect people to different volunteer programs and community service, and help people to stay connected to their treatment. We also highly utilize peer support services. So a lot of the staff that we hire are people that are in recovery or peer supports for mental health. And we find that you've got people with education knowledge, with programs, and therapists and case managers that have like the book knowledge. Peer supports really have that lived experience and connect with people really on a deeper level. They often have been exactly through what our clients are going through. And so it really is impactful to have peer supports on site, on staff, to help connect with people and show them that recovery is possible. So we utilize peer support services a lot. We also are working towards a primary care integration. First Step House hired a medical director and some additional medical support staff with the purpose of creating a integrated medical facility into First Step House. With the pandemic, we're so glad that we had the nurses on hand. That is the majority of what they've been doing now in the last year. So I think that has put that part a little bit further behind than we'd like it, but we have those staff on site and are really working to integrate that medical care as well. We also have transitional housing facilities. It's the sober living through First Step House. We call it recovery residence. That's kind of part of our pathway to housing. So having people go from residential treatment to sober living, then into housing on their own. And so we work really closely with that and some community or the county programs for sober living vouchers to help people do that. We also have our resource center program. So we have a clinical therapist and a peer support in the men's resource center, worked through the road home. And they have what is called a green dorm there, where it's a sober dorm or a dorm where people that are homeless in the men's resource center and are interested in seeking treatment, that they can have some additional access to a therapist and to a peer support to help them connect them to treatment out in the community. Not even necessarily just for Step House, but any mode or option for treatment that might work best for them, and help connect them to getting an assessment and getting evaluated for what kind of treatment services they might need. And then we also have a recidivism and reduction program. It's called REACH. It's a pay for success. It is really another type of residential and outpatient program that we were able to kind of build from the ground up. I think it's in its third year of progress. And so that's just an additional program that we have working with in the community. This next slide is a little bit just about our overview and our outcomes. So you can see, we were founded in 1958. This slide was done probably about a year ago. So it says we have 118 employees. I'm sure that's a little bit higher now, especially we have a permanent supportive housing project that we brought on in the last year. We're actually about to bring on an additional project. So we are currently hiring, always hiring for therapists, peer supports, case managers. And then you can see, we work with a pretty low income population. The majority of people have no income when they come in or very low income. This is just kind of an overview of our facilities and the transitional housing, kind of where they're at. You can see that also when people come in, they typically don't have stable housing. And then we work with them when they come into treatment, to get stable housing, to get income and employment. And so those are a lot of the outcomes that we work on while people are in treatment with us. And then for the next slide, The three pillars for First Step House. So the first, focus and primary thing that First Step has been doing over the years is treatment. With our residential and our outpatient program, the REACH program, we're working to integrate healthcare and dental. Then employment with that employment preparation and placement program, that individual placement and support. We provide employment case management. We have a benefits specialist on that team who evaluates people that might have Social Security income but want to work. And so they will take a look at how they can work and keep their benefits and what that looks like for them. And they also provide a variety of education. We connect people to vocational rehabilitation and have resume classes and things like that. They do provide some general employment services in addition to the more intensive supported employment program. And then, of course, the newest pillar really that First Step House has been getting into and expanding on is housing. So we have that housing case management that we provide not only for our people that come into our treatment services, but also for others out in the community with those permanent supportive housing vouchers. We have a rapid rehousing program. Right now we have funds for homeless prevention and rapid rehousing through the CARES Act that we're utilizing to help people that are either at risk or homeless to get into housing as soon as possible or keep their housing. We have the veterans transitional housing. So if any of you are familiar with Valor House, we work in partnership with the Salt Lake City Housing Authority and the VA to provide that transitional housing. And we provide all the program and services for Valor House. And then also the permanent housing. And those are the permanent supportive housing buildings that we had come online last year. And we have another one coming online here just in the next month as well. So the next slide here just goes over kind of some of the treatment and some of the goals, and outcomes that we have. We do provide 24-hour care. We have 146 beds between our residential facilities. Our outpatient treatment, right now, all of that is being provided remotely, although we are trying and looking towards bringing back in-person services here as safely as possible. The last year, we, of course, took a lot of time to set a lot of policies and protocols for safety for COVID-19 and have taken a lot of precautions. So our treatment definitely looks a little bit different this year than it has in past years. So we can help to keep everybody as safe as possible and with the goal of reducing any kind of spread. And then in general, we provide with the treatment services, individual and group therapy, clinical modalities, of course, UAs, the peer support services, where we base the levels of care off the ASAM model and focus on evidence-based practices, provide case management and food services and with that as well. And there's a little bit of information there about the REACH program, that Pay for Success program that's in partnership with Salt Lake County. The next slide there goes over the healthcare. So we've been working on that primary care integration. They do health risks assessments. We have medication technicians, an APRN, a nurse care coordinator. We've been working in partnership with the 4th Street Clinic as well. Pre-COVID, they were bringing their bus on site to provide services on site to First Step House. With dental services, we have a really good partnership with the University of Utah School of Dentistry. We partnered with them with the floss program a few years ago that kind of transitioned into providing dental care for people that have targeted adult Medicaid and are in treatment. And so we oftentimes will connect our clients that have that targeted adult Medicaid. We take them to appointments up at the School of Dentistry, and we've worked really closely with them probably over the last 4 years as a really great partnership with them. And then with the medication assisted treatment, we partner with Project Reality, also the VA Medical Center, and it's an absence oriented versus absence only kind of method where we really believe in the evidence-based practice that medically assisted therapy can really help people in their course of treatment. The next slide just is a little bit of an overview of our employment preparation and placement program. So it launched in 2019. These are a few of the partners, Key Bank. They provide time unlimited services, rapid competitive employment. It's evidence-based, as I said before, with the IPS model, that individual placement and support. They help with financial management as well, career education and job placement. And then the next slide is a little bit about our housing. We have the housing case management where we provide needs assessment and goals, recovery support services to help connect people that are homeless or at risk with housing options. We also have those homeless prevention and rapid rehousing funds right now through the Salt Lake County CDBG program, the County Development Block Grant, to help clients that are at risk or homeless get into housing and keep it. The recovery residents, the VA transitional housing, and then the permanent housing that we had this last year, or that we broke ground on, and that is now fully functional. They actually are at capacity. The Central City apartments and then Medina apartments are the newest ones that are coming online. The next slide just goes over our sober living vouchers. I'm not going to get too much into that. It's for people that are in treatment and have completed residential treatment. The county actually provides up to 6 months of sober living for people that have completed treatment at a nonprofit TAM funded facility. And then a couple other eligibility pieces. If they've completed CATs in jail, they're eligible for that program. If they are in drug court, they're eligible to utilize the sober living vouchers or the Utah Highway Patrol frequent utilizers. So, and yeah, that pays up to 6 months. They work in partnership with Fair Credit Foundation. So they have the clients take classes on the credit and debt. And so they learn a lot about that. And they, as people are working to pay off their debts, they can even be eligible to get full funding with that. So usually they get the first 3 months all included. They have to take those classes to get the months 4, 5, and 6. Usually they pay 30% of their income towards rent unless they can show that they're working with Fair Credit Foundation to pay off their debts. And if they are doing that, then the county will continue to pay in full for months 4, 5, and 6. So that's a really good program. And, they've been utilizing working with Fair Credit Foundation with that. And it was easy for us because we've been working with Fair Credit Foundation for probably 4, I think 5 or more years, because as long as I've been at First Step House, we've been working with Fair Credit Foundation to connect our guys to their services and education, financial education. So the next slide there is about our homeless prevention and rapid rehousing. So I already talked a little bit about the target population with that. We do target people that have a substance use disorder, singles typically, because there's already a program for families for rapid rehousing. And the goal to be self-sufficient within like 3 to 6 months. And really right now our funding is more of a deposit package where it's like we help with the deposit, first month's rent, or a prorate of month the rent in a first month. The eligibility, you do have to be at risk of homelessness or literally homeless, which is defined by the Housing of Urban Development. And then you have to be below 50% median income. And then you do typically have to be referred through a partner agency with us. We don't really take self-referrals with that program. So we work with the Road Home or a lot of other agencies, resource centers in the community to reach those target populations for that program. And then the next slide there is about the permanent supportive housing that we have. The Central City apartments, this is all part of our recovery campus over off of 440 South and 500 East. The Central City apartments is actually accessed from Denver Street on the other side there. It is 75 units for and vouchers of permanent supportive housing for people that are severely and persistently mentally ill. So that's in collaboration with Optum, Salt Lake County Behavioral Health. And they just reached capacity, I believe, at that building. They opened really in the middle of the pandemic. I think it was like March, April last year, and they just reached capacity there. And then we also have Medina Place apartments. These apartments are actually about to open February, so they're taking applications for them right now. This one is a 40 units of homeless individuals. They do give preference to individuals with a substance use disorder. It's very recovery oriented housing project. They have on-site supportive services. They also are trying to focus on high utilizers of community services. And then Housing Connect is the property manager for both of these locations. First Step House provides the services. And then also there are some project-based and HUD VASH vouchers. So I think there's a certain amount of those that are set aside for veterans. And so yeah, that project is opening in February. A little bit more information we have about that. Let's see. They're fully furnished apartments. They have 40 one-bedroom, one-bath units, so they are just for singles. Secured parking and bikes for cars. They have a community room, a laundry room, Wi-Fi is included. It's of course across the street from Smith's Marketplace and then right next to Tracks. Fully furnished and then provide a lot of services on site. It is opening February of 2021, and I can maybe put in the comments the contact for referrals for that as well. And I think that's most of what I got. The next slides are just some of the people that we partner with in the community that really help to make the services we provide possible. And, you know, if you're interested in treatment services, I think I did see someone ask, we do only serve men at this time in our treatment services. However, in our housing programs, we do serve a lot of women as well. I think there definitely is a goal, especially if we're looking to serve 5,000 people by 2028. I picture that that will include possibly opening treatment for women as well. And so I definitely think that's something that First Step has a goal to include. The best way if you are looking to seek treatment services is to contact our admissions department. And I'll maybe put this in the chat as well. It's just admissions@firststephouse.org. And that's all kind of spelled out as one word. It is good if someone has Medicaid. Medicaid is probably the primary funding source for treatment. A lot of people do come to treatment with us through court orders and things like that. But again, we connect them with Medicaid, and Medicaid is the funding source for their treatment. Someone does have to have an assessment for residential treatment. And there are a few different ways that you can do that, but First Step House can also help connect you to getting those treatments or to getting those assessment services. If someone needs detox, we definitely recommend that they go to the VOA, or there are a few hospitals that do a medical detox. I know the VOA, if you go to detox there, they actually do assessment services there and try to connect people to treatment as well. So that can be another way to get in. Pre-COVID, I would say that we had wait lists of maybe 6 months. And right now, it's not like that at all. I think people really in this moment can get into treatment pretty quickly at First Step House. The only other thing to keep in mind is with our residential treatment right now, it is much more locked down kind of than it was previously, where really people are only off site for like medical appointments and things like that during their treatment services, where before, they were maybe on restriction for 30 days and then they were able to work and things like that. So it is a little bit of a different look right now, just in keeping everybody safe and controlling as much as we can to the contact that people have. So in a residential facility, we can really reduce any risk of COVID-19. So that is kind of what the treatment services look like right now. So yeah, and then I think the next couple slides are just the executives at First Step House, and then just the final slide there too. Yeah, Sean McMillan's our executive director, Austin Davis and Kendall. Thanks. So yeah, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about First Step with everyone. And, I'm sure you'll continue to see and hear about us in the community. And I think we're doing some really good things and continuing to grow as an organization. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Really appreciate that. Now let's turn some time over to um, Duggar Wellness, and I've been privileged to introduce our next speaker. And so Tammy is a natural born teacher, and early on in her life, she fell in love with teaching and leading others to discover how amazing they were inside. She has a special inner mission to heal, nurture, and nourish others and inspire them to become the best version of themselves. She is a certified culinary nutrition expert and a certified transformational nutrition coach. Her love and a passion for helping others improve their health and even heal themselves from chronic health issues was born from her own personal experiences, trying to find answers to her complex digestive problems. In addition, Tammy has over 20 years, 20 years of in the trenches experience in her own kitchen applying the principles of whole food nutrition for her family of six. Want to give a special welcome to Tammy and again thank her for her time and turn the time over to her.
Thank you. I don't know. Do I have the opportunity to share my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. And then can you see?
Let me stop sharing our screen and turn it over to you.
Awesome. I will get that started. Thank you for the introduction. And I just want to say thank you to Karen for all that amazing information with all those wonderful resources. That's so great. Okay, well, I am really excited to be here today, and I understand that part of this um, Zoom call today is all about creating habits for the new year. That's why I've been invited to talk today. So, the foundations that I teach my clients are based on 7 simple strategies, and these 7 strategies are foundational habits that if we pay attention to them every single day of our lives, they will help create health and wellness. And so I'm just going to share those with you today. But in a couple minutes, I'm going to ask you all to do a little exercise. So since we're going to be focusing on setting goals, I would love it if you could all have like a piece of paper and a pencil, something that you can, like a full sheet of paper that you can use. So if you don't have that handy with you right now, run and grab something real quick, and then I can teach you something. Okay, so I'm gonna just get my slides going. Okay, so these 7 simple strategies are named on this slide, and they are think well, sleep well, breathe well, eat well, move well, love well, and play well. And so we are just going to go through all of these strategies in what I call the wellness wheel. And this is, like I said, these habits are something that we should be paying attention to every day of our lives. And this is basically the wheel that takes us through our life. And so we're going to do a little self-evaluation today. This is where your pen and pencil comes in handy. So I would love it if you could all draw a circle on your piece of paper, just like the one here on the screen. So you're going to have that circle, and it's going to be labeled all the way around the circle with all those 7 strategies. And then a dot in the center, and then a spoke from that dot to the title of each of those strategies. Okay, so you're going to have 7 spokes on your wheel. All right, so you guys just kind of quickly sketch that out on your paper. And while you do that, I'm going to just explain how we're going to do this evaluation. Okay, so I'm going to explain all of these 7 strategies. And as I explain the strategy, I just want you to place a dot on that spoke. So we drew a spoke. There's a center dot in the middle of the big circle. the closer you are to the center dot means, like, the center dot would mean you don't do that thing at all. You, like, for example, sleep well. The center dot would mean you never sleep 1 minute, 1 second of the day, okay? And then the farther away you get from the center to the outside edge, that means that you're really great at doing it. Okay, so if we say sleep, like the average, the best amount of hours to sleep for an adult is 7 to 9 hours. So I'd say the closer you were to the 7 to 9 hours would be closer to the outside edge. Okay, so that makes sense. You're going to plot on each of those spokes where you feel you are right now. Okay, and then later on, I'll teach you how we can make some goals related to that. Okay, so I'm just going to go through each of these strategies to explain them. Some of them you're probably thinking, well, that's really self-explanatory, but I want you to just understand basically my definition of what it is, and then plot where you feel like you are in regards to that definition. Okay. We're going to kind of go a little bit out of order on this wheel just to start, but I'll explain why in a minute. Okay, so here we are. We're going to start with the eat well strategy. Okay, eat well. So find that on your circle, find that little spoke on your circle. But eat well, this is like our diet. Basically, this is the whole thing, everything that goes into your mouth. So I call this the eat well strategy, and it's super important to eat real whole food and balanced meals every day, because this affects how your hormones work, how your mood is, how your blood sugar is regulated, how your brain functions, how much energy you have. And then eat well, like I said, it's everything that goes into our mouth. So that includes everything we also choose to drink. All right. So I'm going to take just a couple seconds and dive into this strategy. This is going to be like my biggest definition strategy, because food is really my passion. In the introduction, you heard that I was a culinary nutrition expert and a transformational nutrition coach. Well, a lot of those things have to do with food we eat, okay? And you guys have all heard the saying, you are what you eat. Well, you are, because the only way your cells can function is if they're hydrated. The only way your heart beats is from the food that you eat, and how it's broken down into those microscopic elements of vitamins and minerals and amino acids and fatty acids. It's this food turns into the stuff that builds our tissues, our heart tissue, our lung tissue, our blood cells, you get it, on and on. So keep in mind that whatever you eat either builds you or breaks you down, okay? So now, if you haven't yet, plot where you are, just a little dot on the spoke of the eat well. Okay, the next strategy that we're going to talk about is sleep well. All right, as I mentioned before, the average adult should get 7 to 9 hours, but most of us aren't getting enough sleep, or we're just not sleeping well. All right, so if you're not waking up rested or revitalized and refreshed and ready for the new day, then we got to really work on this strategy. And so I'll give you some tips a little later on. So plot where you are on the sleep well spoke. And then we are going to move to breathe well. All right, so this is the third strategy. Breathing can help calm our body down, calm our mind, and help us manage stress and create focus. But oftentimes we don't really pay attention to our breathing. All right, so right now I'm just going to take you guys through just a short little breathing exercise. And now that I've said that, maybe some of you are recognizing your breathing pattern right now. Okay, so I just want you to inhale and exhale. And this is really helpful for me right now because presenting is kind of stressful. So that just helped me like immediately feel a lot more calm and a lot more peaceful. So when we breathe, I want you to put one hand up here on your chest and then the other hand down on your belly. And when you breathe, when you take that big inhale, I want you to feel the breath in your tummy, not in your chest. If we breathe through in our chest and in our shoulders, that's really shallow and it doesn't give our body enough oxygen. So try to get that breath down into your belly. All right, we're not really putting air in our belly, of course. We're just expanding our lungs, which then pushes our diaphragm and pushes our tummy out. So just think of it that way, a belly breath. Okay, I'm going to teach you a quick technique, so quick that you could do it anywhere. You don't have to, it's not special. You don't have to lay down, close your eyes, anything. It's one of my favorite things to do when I'm stuck in like traffic or when I get just really agitated at my kids or something like that. I can just stop and do it. And it doesn't take very long. We're just going to inhale, hold our breath, exhale, hold our breath. And those inhales are going to be for 4 seconds. The hold is going to be for 4 seconds. The exhale is going to be for full 4 seconds. And then the hold again for 4 seconds. So basically we're making a little box with our breath. Okay, so you guys start with me. Okay, inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold, 4, 3, 2, 1, exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, that's it. And you just repeat that a couple of times until you feel calm and peaceful. And it's really great. I like to do that one as well, or walk my kids through it when when they can't go to sleep or I can't go to sleep. I just like say, we're just going to breathe for a second. So that's a fun little strategy. So maybe you haven't paid attention to your breathing that much. So just plot where you think you are on that spoke for breathe well. All right, the next strategy that we're going to talk about is move well. So this is the 4th strategy that we've talked about so far. And I always like to distinguish movement from exercise, right? Just like our diet or what we eat is different from taking supplements or vitamins. Movement is basically the foundation of activity that we do every day. Sit down, stand up, walk, go upstairs, whatever, just movement. Okay, and then exercise would be on top of that. So exercise is like a good supplement for movement. All right. So we want to have lots of movement every day, but then we can also incorporate some exercise. All right, so plot where you are on the movement, or if you want to also consider your exercise in part of your plotting, you can do that too. All right, so those first 4 strategies were what I would consider physical habits. All right, and then these last 3 strategies are more of our mental, emotional, psychological habits. So the first one is think well. This one has to do with your thoughts. It has to do with our happiness, our optimism, our outlook on life, our vision for life, our purpose in life. All these things kind of all roll into the think well habits that we have. So plot where you think you are in your thinking. Do a little dot on that spoke. And then we'll move on to, sorry, I keep moving my slides the wrong way. We'll move on to love well. So this strategy is all about our relationships. Love well has to do not only with our relationship with others, but with our relationship with ourselves, how we feel about who we are and what we're becoming. And then that relationship also extends out to our partner, a spouse, our children, our loved ones, our neighbors, our whole community. And then it's also our relationship with God, our creator, our higher power, whatever you associate with. But something you also need to consider as far as relationship goes is also the relationship you have with things, like your relationship with food or your job or your home. Okay, it's not just people-based. So plot where you think you are on that love well spoke, and then we'll move on to play well. This is the last strategy that we're going to talk about. And I like to say, all right, last the best of all the gang, or last but not least, because playing is so, so important. And this would be classified as like our recreation, our creative expression, our ability to relax and make sure that we always fill ourselves and take time for the things that we enjoy doing. All right, so we feel refreshed. So these are basically the things that bring you joy. Because without play, we get tired, we get run down, our tanks get empty, and then we don't have anything else to give. So play is super important. All right, so now you should have all your dots on your circle. Every spoke should have a dot. All right, so the next thing I want you to do is connect the dots, right? Like dot to dot. So just start right at the top at Think Well and just go around the circle connecting your dots. Okay, so here is an example. And you guys, I wish I could see all of your dots connected. But here is an example of a client that filled this out for me this is how we have a little strategy session before we get into making improvements in their lives. So as you can see, as they connected the dots, their wellness wheel, as I called it before, doesn't really look like a wheel, right? If that was the wheel that was taking them through their lives, it's a little bit rough and bumpy. Don't you think? A flat tire, a chunk out of the side, whatever you want to say. So take a look at your wellness wheel that you've just created. How are you doing on all of these strategies and foundational habits? All right, just think about that for a minute. And then let's get into the goal setting part of it, right? So on your same paper or another paper, kind of look at those strategies and maybe make a list of like your best on one side of the page, your best things that you're doing the best at. And then on another column, make like the things that you really want to improve on. And then as I'm telling you some of these little tips to create some goals for these, you guys can maybe write down some ideas that you liked, and then you can work on these goals yourself. I would suggest that you pick like one of your really good ones and then try to incorporate one that you need to work on with that. Okay, does that make sense? So like if you're really wanting to work on your relationships, you're having a hard time connecting with people, then maybe you connect that with your move well. Maybe you have a really great habit of exercising or going for a walk, or at work you always can walk around. Maybe you could connect that really good habit of moving to the connection habit of relationships and invite somebody to exercise with you, or make it a time when you maybe call somebody on the phone while you're exercising. So find ways as we talk about these to build your habits. All right, so the Think Well strategy. And now we're just going to go around the wellness wheel in a circle. So we're not going to go all over the place. Okay, so the Think Well strategies, and these I've included a little mantra on each of these. So if you're having a hard time with one of these strategies, you can say this little mantra, jot it down. But the Think Well mantra is, I am aware that my thoughts impact my life. I choose to be positive. All right, so that's a little mantra we can say to help increase that habit. But also these strategies most of them are free. Okay, I think there's only one that's not free, and that's Eat Well. Okay, and I'm going to give you some tips on eating well for not very much money. But these things that you can do for Think Well would be write a gratitude journal. Oftentimes when we feel like the world's not being good to us, if we just focus on the things that we're grateful for, we will have a much better attitude about life. And then recognize and change our thought patterns. So maybe we're thinking things like, I don't love my job, or I don't love where I live. Instead of focusing on that negative aspect, we could just, I am grateful for my job because, and then find something that you're grateful for because. I'm grateful for the place I have to live because it keeps me safe and protected. Something like that. All right. All right. The next one is our sleep well strategies. Here's the mantra: I am mindful of my nighttime routine. I choose habits that allow for rejuvenating sleep. And 2 suggestions I'm going to give you are: limit screen time to 1 to 2 hours before bed. If we can get off our phones, our TVs, our laptops, whatever we're watching that has light coming from it, that will help our body's natural circadian rhythm kick back in, and we'll be able to sleep better, more soundly, and we'll be well rested. And then establish a nighttime routine. And this can go along with that 1 to 2 hours before bed, turn off all screens. But a nighttime routine could be, take a nice warm bath that will calm you down, read a book, just kind of turn off a lot of your lights in your house, or dim them if they're dimmable, to set the mood and the tone in your house. Maybe turn on some peaceful music. These are all kind of nighttime routine habits that can help you sleep better. Also, another one is write down your gratitude list. So that could help with your think well strategy. Okay, the next one, breathe well. The mantra is, I am connected to my breath. I choose to breathe slowly and deeply. So we've already talked about this with that little box breathing technique I gave you, but just notice your breathing. Sometimes I am like, wait, am I breathing? Yeah, I'm breathing, but it's super shallow and I'm feeling really tense. So notice your breathing at a more regular periods throughout the day, and then practice that box breathing technique that I gave you. All right, and then eat well strategies. Here is the mantra: I am conscious of what I feed my body. I choose nutrient-dense foods and clean water. All right, so I say choose food in its whole form as much as possible. So the more we choose foods without a label, the better they are for our body. So if you can do that multiple times a day, that is an amazing thing to do. If you can cook most of your meals from scratch, that is even better. But sometimes food can be expensive, but I have found the cheapest and even sometimes the best foods to buy are frozen veggies. They are cheaper than fresh veggies. And did you know that frozen veggies can't be frozen unless they're like at the peak of their ripeness, which means the peak of their nutrient content? All right, so frozen veggies is a great source of whole real foods. And then try to drink only water. Okay, if you're not used to drinking a lot of water or any water at all, I would suggest you try to drink, the goal would be half your body weight in ounces in water a day. So if you can do that goal, awesome. If you are just not a water drinker at all, then start slow and just try to have 8 ounces in one day, then 16 ounces the next day, and just build up until you're like, wow, I like water and I feel so much better when I drink it. All right, and then move well. Here's the mantra: I am physically active every day. I choose to keep my body fit and strong. So every day, intentionally move your body. Do what you can. Like if you sit at a desk and work all day, set a timer on your phone or somewhere on your watch or something, and just stand up every 20 minutes, every half an hour. Stand up, do some toe touches, maybe do some arm reaches, maybe do some jumping jacks, or walk down the hall. Just try to move your body as much as you can. Take the stairs instead of the elevator, all those things, And then have an exercise buddy, or like this family, find fun things that you can do with your family to incorporate movement into your day. All right. and then love well. Love well mantra is I am honoring the best in myself and others. I choose to create deeper connections. So it's kind of hard when we don't get to see all of our family members anymore, but there are ways that we can still connect. We can spend quality time with those that we can be with. We can spend even quality time on Zoom or FaceTime. Those kind of things are really great to have, but we can also send cards in the mail. That's super fun. Something that we don't do a lot of anymore. Texts are great. Um, Emails even are good. So find a way to connect with somebody, and a phone call is always the best to hear somebody's voice. All right. And then if you need to heal a relationship, I suggest always take time to do that. It might feel awkward at first, but it's going to be so much better if you can just heal that relationship that you have with yourself, somebody else, or even something, right? And just work on building your relationships. All right. And our final is the play well strategy. So, the mantra is I am balancing work with fun and playful recreation. I choose to enjoy life. So I would suggest a lot of times adults, this is like their lowest. They don't take time to play. They think they got to work all the time, and work first, play later, and play never gets a chance. So I would say create a playlist. Like make a list of all the things you used to do when you were little, and just write those down, and then see how you could still do those as an adult. All right. And then add things to them that you like to also play as an adult. All right. And just make a playlist so that if you have 5 minutes to play one day, you can look at that list and you can grab a 5 minute play thing. If you have 3 hours to spend on play, you can look at your list and do a 3 hour play thing. All right. Play doesn't have to be expensive, but it can be. It can be free. It can be a vacation. So you just like decide, make a list of all different things, and then make sure that you always take time to play, because time spent playing is never wasted. All right, and that's all I have. And so if you want to connect with me in any way, I've just given you all my connection sources right there. And then I guess I don't know if anyone had any questions for me. I didn't see the chat. I couldn't figure that out. So I'll stop sharing my screen and then turn the time back over to our leader.
Well, thank you so much, Tammy. That was a lot of great information. And I know just looking through the chat, lots of great comments. And thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. Alrighty, I'm going to turn the time over now to our counselor, Itzel. Let me get our presentation back up. Alrighty, turn the time over to Itzel if you're there to go over a few things regarding to goal setting and finances.
Awesome. Thank you, Talon. And thank you so much, Karen and Tammy, for your wonderful presentations today. I definitely learned something new today. So to finish off our presentation, I kind of want to go over how to create some goals for the new year. So next slide, please, Talon. Great. So something I like to do or think about is, the new year is the perfect time for any goal setting, right? To create a goal, go over any current goals you have to make sure you're on track. You're new to goal setting or just want to learn how to create a goal, there's definitely a lot of different ways to do so. But the key thing to keep in mind is find the one that works best for you and your situation, right? Oops, can you guys hear me? It's a little bit distorted here. Can you guys still hear me? Does it sound a little bit distorted still?
Just a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah, sorry. Is this better? Is it worse? The same?
About the same.
Yeah, I don't know. My internet's been a little bit slow today. So I know last time I had this issue, it was through Microsoft Teams, but I was able to turn off any incoming video, and that kind of helped. Alan, do you know how to do that on Zoom?
I don't, but if you want, I can go through the slides if you would like me to.
Yeah, sorry.
No,
It
don't
probably
be
still sounds
sorry.
robot-y.
I am a robot.
I'm so
This
sorry,
is a
guys.
new year. Welcome to Fair Credit. It's all good. Just
Yeah.
smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave. So yeah, it's a new year. It's a perfect opportunity for new goal setting. And of course, it may be easy to get caught up in the thrill of goal setting and the trends of, oh, my friends are setting new goals, I should do this. A lot of goal setting really comes from your own priorities, and so really it's a time for reflection, if anything, and goals can come from there. um, and so of course you can reflect on your own life at any point using a lot of the skills that Tammy just went over. But so here on the slide, there are many great ways to create and maintain a goal, but the key thing is to find what works for you. Um, and so if it is, having a mantra that you read to yourself every day, or coming up with a checklist, or even cutting some things out of your life, taking time to reflect. But one of the big things that you can do is create a vision board. And a vision board is a fun, creative way to visualize your goals and maintain them. Like, for example, for me personally, I have little pictures of goals that I'm trying to work on for this year, and I put them around my computer monitor, right? I'm working from home from my computer, and so I'm always looking at my screen, and having a little reminder of what I'm working towards helps push me through to accomplish those goals. So again, but coming from us at Fair Credit, want to talk about more financial goals, right? And there's a few different areas that you can reflect on of where you want to be financially speaking. And so taking time to reflect, how's my budget, or how are my budgeting skills? Are they pretty good? Can they be improved on? Where are we at, type of thing, right? And so again, you can always come to one of us at Fair Credit for some counseling, and being able to come up with a good budget there. And we're always teaching classes to give some advice and tips on developing a better budget. But also too, when it comes to savings, how are your savings? Do you have a savings account? What's the balance of your savings account? How much are you putting into savings? And is it automated? Is it not automated? Those types of things. But also in this area where savings come into play, I like to use a skill which is called the step down principle, where essentially you take a common practice that you have. Like, before the pandemic, I would love going to the movies, right? Seeing the next Star Wars movie or the next Marvel movie that would come out. What are some ways that I can reduce the cost of those different activities? Well, rather than going full price opening night, I could wait till $5 Tuesday, save a couple bucks on a ticket. I could also, bring in a little candy bar, sneak that in, save some money there rather than paying full price for a big old bucket of popcorn, right? Those different types of things, just little areas that you can still enjoy the things that you like, but put that extra money into savings. This new year, right? Taking time to evaluate your debt and your credit. A great way to do this is by pulling a credit report from annualcreditreport.com. And there you can take a look and see, all right, where's my credit situation at? What are my debts at? And what are some extra ways that I can bring those down as far as debts go and build up my credit. Again, reach out to one of our counselors. We'd love to be able to sit down and work with you. And as Tammy put it with the moving, exercising and things like that, find a buddy and we can be your buddy in this endeavor. And so just to answer that question, there's a question in the chat of how do I get a counselor? Our contact information will be provided at the end. And so you can just give us a call, you can email us, and we'd be happy to work with you, get an appointment scheduled to go over these goals together, right? And right there, thank you, Ellen, for putting our contact information in there. And let's see, I don't know how to pronounce your name, so I'm just going to read your comment. I have been saving for a year to go home and visit my family that I recently used to fix my car because flying does not seem right at the moment. Yeah, so that's a great goal, saving up money to fix up the car to go visit family. That's a great thing to do. And yes, Sharon, you are still able to pull credit reports weekly from annualcreditreport.com. If I could have one of my coworkers put that link in the chat, that would be awesome. But again, annualcreditreport.com is a great place to get a credit report for free each week. And that deal lasts up through April of this year. So, alrighty. So again, talking about the budget, how will the new year affect your budget? That's a loaded question, right? We have a new president that's getting inaugurated tomorrow and a whole slew of new senators and House of Representatives. So that can change the political side of things of how taxes are done and any sort of stimulus checks. So there's a lot of ups and downs there, but focusing on what's in your control of this new year. Do you have a new job opportunity coming up? Do you have income from a tax return coming? Those different types of things that are more within your control. How are you going to play that into your budget, right? And so again, we can go over this together in our counseling appointments. So savings, incorporate savings into your budget. It's your future self is going to thank you for having some sort of savings down the road, right? Even if it's just a couple dollars a month that you can start saving, as long as you can get into the habit of saving, you're going to be much better off than where you were yesterday, right? Again, with the debt management program, review your credit report, review any sort of statements or emails or letters that you're getting, and compile a good list of all the different debts that you have out there. And what you can do and where we can help as well is kind of organize them into a payment plan where we focus on the lowest balance or the highest interest rate and start to tackle those different debts one by one until all of them are off your back, right? You don't want to be like that little guy there in that image with so much debt just weighing you down all the time, right? New year, new year. Hang on, I didn't say that right. New year, new you. Let's get you unloaded and moving forward at a faster pace. The last thing here, again, review your credit as often as possible, not only for your credit's sake, but for your own social security and any sort of identity theft that might be taking place. That's a good resource to see if that is happening in your own life. And credit, while it doesn't necessarily reflect financial stability, it is a good indicator that if your credit is doing well, your finances may be doing well. So let's get you improving your credit, and that provides opportunities for future goals that are outside of just finance alone, for future housing, for if you want to get a new car someday, if you want to flex on your neighbors, I don't know. But just moving forward with your credit, and one of our credit counselors can help you there. So again, reach out to us and we're more than happy to help you out. There's our contact information again. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all these different things. So please reach out to us. We'd love to help you out. And our services, there are a few that have fees, but for the most part, like our financial counseling is free. So it doesn't hurt to give us a call and see what we can't do to work with you. And with that, what questions do you have for us? Feel free to type them in the chat. If you want to unmute yourselves, we have a couple minutes. And again, love to hear questions for us at Fair Credit, for First Step, for Duggar Wellness. Let's turn the time over to you for questions.
I'm sorry, but my internet keeps kicking me out.
No worries. Glad to have you.
Hi, I just wanted to make a statement. You
Please.
guys gave us a lot of really good information, and I was making some notes. But where can we go back and find the recorded session of this workshop that we just completed?
Absolutely. Great question. If you want to give us a follow and subscribe to us on Instagram and on Facebook, Twitter, and our YouTube page, that's where it'll be posted, is on our YouTube page. You can just search for Fair Credit Foundation there on YouTube, and it'll be posted there here in the coming days. And so you should be able to go back, rewatch some of the highlights of areas that you missed, or just want to go back and reflect on. So be looking out on our YouTube page, and make sure to subscribe and follow. That way you can get all that information. Great question. Any others? Oh, and perfect. Thank you, Alan. There's the link to our YouTube page. So give us a follow, a subscribe, like us, all that fun stuff that you always hear.
If I really enjoyed the first two speakers, can I actually get a whole copy of the whole session of their sessions as well? Or will it just be a quick little portion?
So it'll be the full presentation from today.
Okay.
The full webinar. Yeah, absolutely. And their contact information was here in the slides too. And so you should be able to see that when you go back through the video.
I have more questions. Thank you.
Absolutely, yes, because lots of great insight from them. And I mean, they're professionals in their own right, and so lucky to have them here today. So again, thank you to our guest speakers and for their service, what they do for the community and for those around them. And I'm excited for this new year. You know, 2020 was a bit of a rough year, but it was eye-opening, and we're moving forward. And that's the goal of these webinars, and hope to see you next month as we continue to press forward together, right? The key thing is you're not alone, and there are people out there that are there to help you along the way through this difficult journey.
I just wanted to make one more comment.
Please.
Even though I've watched some of these series over and over again, I always feel like I learned something new, and it reapplies to everything all the time. I keep on coming back, and there's always something reapplicable each time. I just want to say thank you.
Yes, of course. And thank you for your participation, and everyone else too that is here today. Love to see you and invite you to continue to join with us, because like it's been said, there's always something new that you can learn. Alrighty, folks. Well, go enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening. It's been a pleasure. Grateful to have you here today, and be on the lookout for our next webinar. You can always look that up on our website, faircredit.org, and by email, you can subscribe to our email list, subscribe to our YouTube and other social media, and stay tuned. Lots of good information coming. So again, thank you folks for being here. We'll see you next time.